Caribbean archery program where we interview, specific athletes from around the world. And tonight we have a special guest. Her name is Alexis Ruiz. Alexis is the number one compound archer in the U.S. at the moment, a former world number one, if I'm correct, in
Yes.
2020, and currently ranked world number 18. Yes,
Yes.
but I'm sure that's going to move up very quickly, right? We'll talk
Mhm.
more about that as we go along. So, Alexis, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who's Alexis?
I am a girl that started shooting because my dad used to go hunting. So I picked it up. I went to a school that had an archery program, and then they signed me up for my first tournament. I realized this is what I love to do,
Right.
and I have just been competing ever since, and it's been about 14 years since then.
Wow, that's a long time. But
Yes.
but at that tournament, what was the first bow you used? What did you use for that
Um,
tournament?
a diamond edge. It was a compound.
Mhm. Compound. So during that time, those 14 years, have you ever tried the recurve?
I have played with one for fun,
Mhm.
but that's it. Not really.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So in terms of your accomplishments during that period, what would you say when you review those 14 years? Um, what was the best time you had in terms of competing and success at archery in particular company?
Um, I feel like there was a lot of milestones that happened in consecutive years. In 2017, I won the Junior World Championships,
Yeah.
and then a few months later, I followed that up with a win in Vegas. I was the youngest person at the time to do
Mhm.
that.
Right. How old
Um,
were you then?
18.
18. Okay. And now the
Yeah.
youngest person is how old? Is it 15 or 14 or something?
Yeah, 14 or 15.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's
Um,
Ariola, is her name?
yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Continue. Sorry.
And that's okay. And then in 2019, I podiumed at all the World Cups in my debut year and
Right.
became ranked number one at the end of 2019. So,
And was that a record or something? Was it that you podium at all four in
yes.
2019?
Um, I know I was the only athlete to do that year, but I don't know if someone has done it before me.
Yeah. But you that year you won one gold medal at those World Championships.
Um, at the World Championships, not that year.
Mhm.
But this year I did, for mixed teams.
Yes. Yeah. Well, congratulations on that. That's
Thank you.
I mean for your age, I think that's a really really great accomplishment in compound. But in terms of did you have a lot of support growing up with the bow? Is it because your family was into it that you had a lot of support to do archery as you like?
Yes, I did. My mom and my dad have been my biggest supporters, going with me to all my tournaments, helping me work through practicing and finding ways to get me coaches and stuff.
Right. Right. And during those times, what would you say was the support besides I guess the social support from your parents and so on? I'm thinking more of like the mental support and competitions. Were you given like sort of mental training or psychological help
Uh,
to help you deal with competitions?
yes, I took the mental management class by Lanny Basham.
Right,
So I did that to help me with my mental game for tournaments, and I feel like it really helped me.
right. And so up to today, you still continue using the things you learned in this program.
Yes, I use it all the time, every time I compete.
Okay, that's good. And the reason why I raise that as well, I mean, here in Trinidad, I run boot camps at least once a year with my kids, and this year in particular, even though we cover it every year, this year in particular, we really emphasize a lot on the mental management aspect of the sport, and we actually, learn a lot from what Lani is teaching, and we cover some of that in our program. And every day at the boot camp, we did a bit of that,
Mhm.
talking to kids about mental management and practice it on the line, not only in the classroom. And in that regard, too, we actually have a question from one of our young athletes here. Um, she's a young compound athlete,
Mhm.
and she asked me to ask you, what is what's your best advice when someone is getting anxious when at the shooting line?
Um, So it's important to know that everyone gets anxious. I do still to this day.
Mm,
I think it's actually a good feeling. It means we're excited and we want it. We can use it as two different ways. We can use it in a negative direction where we let the nerves get the
right.
best of us, or
Mm,
you can turn it into excitement and accept it and realize that you're feeling this way because it's an important thing to you. But it's just important to make sure you're really focusing on your form. Um, and doing the best you can through it. And the more you shoot, the
mm.
easier it will be to handle. And you'll learn more about yourself and how to handle it.
But you mentioned something. You say you turn it into excitement. How do you do that?
Um, so if there's like people behind you and they're cheering,
Mm,
you can use that energy and be happy that you're there and be excited like they're there to watch you.
mm.
Even if it's just your parents, like you can use anybody.
Yeah.
Um, and just as long as you love the sport, you should be happy you're there shooting.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Good advice. Um, so I've got another question for you in regards to um, like if you're on the line, for example, and let's suppose you made a mistake, or let's suppose you win blow the arrow, of course, and instead of getting a 10, it blows into the 8,
Yeah.
right? You expected to hit the 10 and went to the 8. How do you handle that situation?
It's really easy to like let that get to you and affect the rest of your arrows. I think it's important to like pause for a second, take a deep breath.
Mhm,
I like to run through what a good shot feels like.
mm,
Um, and when I take my deep breath, I try to let the arrow go as I exhale. And then I just kind of shoot the next arrow. And it's kind of a mental reset that you have to do on yourself.
right, right. Okay, that's good. Now, I in the introduction I mentioned that you were number one in 2020, and now you're ranked 18th. Uh, can you talk a little bit about that as to what happened between 2020 and now, why your ranking dropped a bit?
Yes, I went to nursing school at university. So I was not able to travel while I was getting my degree. But now that I have a job and I've graduated, I am able to start traveling again.
Okay, good, good. And so you are a registered nurse, or is it night nurse? You said
Yes, I'm a registered nurse and I work the night shift.
night shift, right? Okay, good. And you enjoy that?
Yes, I do. I work with kids.
Yeah. So in terms of that job, what flexibility do they give you in terms of traveling and competing and so on?
Mhm. I let them know my tournament dates ahead of time, and they let me have the time off that I need. We've worked a deal out, but I will get my shifts covered that I need to. So
Right.
I've made a lot of friends on my floor that will help me when I need to leave as well.
Okay. Very good. But what about training times and so on? So if you do the night shift, how do you
Yes.
manage training?
I'm still working on that. When I
Mm,
work 3 nights in a row, it's really hard to pick up my bow when I'm tired. So
yeah.
I am still working on that, but I try to take advantage of all the time I do have behind my bow right now.
Yeah. But typically, let's suppose you weren't on a shift system per se. What does your training program would look like in terms of arrows or physical training and stuff like that?
Um, I will if I'm working shifts, I probably will shoot around an hour if I can, if I'm not too tired. It could just be blank bail because I usually don't have time to go somewhere to arrange to shoot.
Yeah.
Um, and then if it's like my last day of a shift, I will go somewhere and shoot for 2 to 3 hours and then come home and sleep after that.
Right. So typically, you may cover maybe 200, 300 hours in a session like that.
Yeah. I try to do at least 100 to 150 before I let myself stop.
Right. Okay. Um, so that's mini target. Have you done any type of other archery like 3D or field or anything like that?
I've done a couple 3D tournaments locally. I haven't done any of our national ones yet. I
Mhm.
enjoy it. And then I've done our NFAA field, so it's a little different than the World Archery field.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a little bit what I do here now as well. Yes, it's quite different indeed.
Yes.
I'm actually still learning quite a bit about it, and I actually went to my first international tournament in Argentina, which was the
Mhm.
Latin American Field Archery Championships. And the main reason really was to learn how it's done because we will be running similar programs here in Trinidad as well in the future.
Okay.
Um, but that's good to know. But you know now that field is part of the World Archery ranking system,
Yes.
not the NFAA field, but the World Archery field.
Hmm.
Um, do you think you'll be taking part in any of those in the future?
I would like to. I definitely have to learn how to judge yardage and first
Mhm.
before I do that. So I know that will take a lot of time to get
Yeah.
used to.
Well, I see Paige post up a really good short video on that. So you should probably have a look at it.
Yeah.
She seems to be very good at those things, and she gives out some really good tips.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess with the World Archery field, yes, judging a distance, I think is probably one of the hardest parts you have to learn.
Hmm.
But it won't learn unless you try it. So
Yes.
yeah. So what are your plans now? Now we're in the indoor season. What are your plans now going forward for indoor tournaments and so on?
Hmm. I won't be doing any of the indoor World Cups this year. Just I
Mhm.
can't get that much time off work
Right.
so far because I just started. Um, but I will be doing Vegas, our nationals, and a couple other local national tournaments.
Right. So you're missing out Lancaster.
I'm going to Lancaster actually.
You're going out. Okay.
Yes.
Well, both of them are on my to-go list, but some reason I can't seem to reach.
Okay.
We actually have at least one of our athletes from here will be attending Vegas next year. Um,
Okay.
so you never know. So that's great. So, but in terms of the season for 2024, what's your plans like for that?
I plan to do all the World Cups,
Mhm.
and then all of our national circuit, which is like 5 tournaments, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Good. But as you would have seen, probably I think it was a month or two ago, um, the Olympic Committee didn't accept compound in the Olympics, right? So
Yes.
when you saw that news, what were your thoughts? What were your feelings about that?
I was very sad. Um, I think we finally had the best chance to be in the Olympics for
Yes.
2028. And it was home for me. It's only an hour flight. Um,
Right.
but it's sad. I have worked so hard
Mhm.
and I want to go to the Olympics one day,
Mhm.
but there's so many other opportunities I have as compound. So
Mhm.
I'm still working for all the tournaments, the World
Right.
Cups.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we two here were kind of looking forward to hopefully getting that sport in the Olympics. I know they've been trying for quite some time,
Hmm.
and just like you, we were hoping that this time, yes,
Hmm.
LA, yes, we will get it, and no luck. So maybe Brisbane. I believe it's Brisbane in 32. So maybe you never know.
I hope so.
We just have to keep trying and probably get the Australian Archery Association to probably push hard for it in
Yes.
2032. Okay, so that's good. In terms of technical stuff, we have a question from one of our archers here as well about bows and so on. Now, currently, correct me if I'm wrong, you shoot elite, right?
Yes, I do.
All right. Has that been the only bow you've used for a long time, or what are your thoughts on?
Um, when I first started, I shot Hoyt, but I switched to Elite in 2017.
Yeah. So what made you switch from Hoyt to elite? Is it a
Um,
preference?
yeah, it's personal. I shot both of them, and I loved the way the Elite felt in my hand, and I shot a personal best almost immediately with it,
Right.
and it just fit me personally.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Well, yeah. I mean, that's always a question I guess people will have because you see people occasionally switching from one bow to the next on back.
Hmm.
Like recently, we saw Gibson Ella, right? She switched to Darton,
Yes.
right? That was it. Okay, all right. We saw Gillantine and Tanya also switched to Darton.
Hmm.
And it's something I've noticed in the industry. Ever so often, you see the top athletes switching either to Hoyt, Matthews, that. Well, Darton, I guess, has come on pretty strong in the last few years. So in terms of elite, I never shot the elite bow, so I really can't comment on it.
Hmm.
Maybe if I get to the US, I'll probably get to try one out at one of the trade shows.
Yes, I like how you can adjust it to fit all kinds of styles.
Right. Okay. But so when you say styles, could you elaborate a little bit of that for young archers? Yeah. What do you say styles? What do you mean?
Yeah, so some people like a different feel of the bow. Some people like when you're holding it to be really steady. Some people like to hold more weight back. Some people like to hold less weight. So you can adjust all of that. You can
Right.
adjust how aggressive the bow is. So
Mhm. Yeah. So I guess you like that. You could tune it basically to suit your style. Okay, good.
yes.
Um, a little bit more technical in terms of releases. So which release do you use and what's your favorite?
I use the True Ball HBC, so it's a hinge.
Hinge. Okay. Have you tried thumb releases before, or have you ever competed with those?
Yes, I have. I have a thumb release in case of emergencies for like weather conditions, because
Right.
sometimes we shoot in wind that
Mm,
is really hard to shoot a hinge in. I've only shot it in a competition once, and it was this year in Berlin.
uh-huh.
It was so windy at the World Championships that
Right.
I was having a little trouble getting my hinge off with the wind blowing.
Hmm. Well, I could talk to that from experience as well in the US. So
Mhm.
this year I normally shoot a hinge usually,
Mhm.
and at the Buckeye Classic it got so windy.
Yes.
I just couldn't manage keeping my bow on on the target, and I actually had a miss with the hinge. I mean,
Mhm.
completely missed the target, the butt.
Yeah.
Was like, oh, like you said, I deployed my thumb release
Yes.
emergency situation.
I tried not to shoot it, but there are
Yeah,
some weather conditions where
yeah,
you have to.
yeah. I remember that day. Yeah, that's true because I mean, at that point, the wind was so strong. All of us on our line were just saying, you know what, we just want to get the arrows scoring in the face. You just get it
Mhm.
scored, right?
Yes.
And the thumb did help out in that situation. So that's really good. Well, here, what I typically do as well, I usually if they could handle it, I normally start off my athletes on a hinge, and
Mhm.
uh, and then if they want, they could also migrate to a thumb. But I always try to get them on a hinge first. Um, some people can't handle it; they just can't handle the
Mhm.
surprise, and I put them on a thumb release, and that works for them. Yeah. So that's really good. Have you ever used the tension activated release, the one where just you set the poundage and it just goes off? Have you used those before?
No, just my hinge.
It's the hinge. Okay, good.
Mhm.
All right.
But I use it as back tension to where I don't really rotate my fingers at all.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's ideally how it should be. And I think
Yes.
you know, I and all sometimes struggle to get it right,
Mhm.
and but I try to teach my students the correct way, like you said, back and not really the rotation, right? Because you could punch it as well like that, just
Mhm.
so I try to break that out very early because it's something you could develop a really bad habit with trying to, um, pull through and without using the correct form.
Yes.
But that's compound for you. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but in terms of more technical stuff, arrows. So what kind of arrows do you like for your compound at target?
I use Easton arrows. So I'll do the X10 Pro Tours for outdoors.
Mhm.
And then I shoot the aluminum 23s for indoors. I know a lot of people like 27s, but I don't have a long draw length, and I've never personally been able to get them to work for me.
Right.
But I am wanting to try carbon 23s, and I just want to do some testing.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess even to do that as well, you need to spend a lot of time to do all the tuning and testing and so on.
Hmm.
Tell us a little bit about your coach. Who coaches you at the moment? Who's your main coach?
My coach is Eric Bennett. He's one of our para archers,
Mhm.
and he has a ton of world experience as well.
Yeah, and he's also one archer as well.
Yes.
And recurve to boot. So that's really good. That says a lot about him.
Yes.
That he does all of that and also coaches you. So that's
Hmm.
that's that's really great. Um, so that's really good. How about just a couple more questions?
Hmm.
In terms for let's say for this year for 2023, which tournament did you enjoy the most?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I think the Pan Am Games that I just came home from. It's such a different feel being with all the countries and all the athletes. It's more like the Olympics. So it was such a different and amazing environment.
Mhm. Was that also your most successful for the year, or as well? Or
Yes, it
yeah.
was. I shot a tournament personal best.
Mhm.
I broke 3 Pan Am records and I brought home a gold medal and 2 silver medals.
That's fantastic. That's really good. And this was your first Pan Am Games as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, Alexis, I really appreciate the time you spent with us, and I know our archers who are listening will value the information you've just shared. We have a lot of young female archers in the club shooting compound,
Hmm.
and after my interview with Cassie, I guess you know what I felt obligated to have someone like yourself come on and talk as well, right?
Yes.
So thank you very much, and of course, I look forward to speaking to you in the future.
Hmm.
Maybe sometime later on next year, after you've had a few tournaments under your belt. So
Okay.
all the best and good luck. You just stay on a few seconds after we close the show. Yes.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right. Take care.